Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you how I created this look. This is another Monochromatic Mondays video and the color today is Clementine. So if you'd like to see how I put this whole thing together and everything I used for it and my thinking behind the look, just keep on watching. Okay, I want to get started with the eyes and I'm going to be starting with this Chanel Stylo Ombré Contour, and this is the shade Nude Éclat. This is new to me. It just arrived in the mail today and I'm excited to try it. So I'm just going to put this shade all over my lid and just kind of use that as my starting point. And I'm just using my Sonia G Lotus Worker to blend it a little bit. You can see it doesn't really even show up as much of a color on my eyelid because it's about the same tone as my skin. And I think this one is actually a little bit less opaque than the two other Stylo Ombré contours that I got, which were in the Chanel Fall Winter collection this year. I think I'm actually going to be pulling at least one of those into this look as well. But those are both more kind of matte textures or finishes, whereas this one has a little bit of a shimmer in it, which seems to kind of sheer it down a little bit as well. But it gives just a nice starting point to the eye look. So I'm going to leave that for now, and I am going to go get my other two Stylo Ombré contours. I'm going to take this one, which is the Contour Beige. I've really been loving this, using it most days actually. I'm just kind of doing a little bit of a V there, and then I'm going to use that same worker brush just to blend it a little bit. I think this tone is nice for this kind of Clementine themed look because although it's not really orange, it is quite a yellowy, orangey, beigey brown color, so I think it's just going to work well with the rest of the tones today. So I've just blended that and you can see it's just adding a nice little bit of color and shadow. It's kind of like a mustardy brown color. I'm going to put this on the lower lash line too, just run it along there. And then I'll blend it out with the same brush. All right, now I want to make sure that I'm getting some grounding to the eye. So I'm going to take my Victoria Beckham Cocoa Liner and I'm just going to put this along my waterline on the top. Right, and I'm just going to let that sit there for a little bit. So I'm going to come back to the eyes. I have more that I want to do there. I'm just going to let that liner set down a little bit and work on the rest of my face. So for blush, I'm going to be using this Em Cosmetics Faded Clementine blush. I showed you the Venetian Rose blush in a recent video and I ordered this at the same time. Now this, compared to the Venetian Rose, is much less of an everyday go-to kind of color for me. And it's actually a color that I find pretty difficult to wear, but I was just so intrigued by it. It's unlike anything else that I have, so I really wanted to give it a try. And I thought it would be fun to try and sort of build a look around the theme of this color. So I'm taking my soft cheek brush and going right into that. Now obviously I have my foundation concealer on and I do have powder. I use the Sisley loose powder and I kind of put it everywhere, but I set very lightly. So there's still a little bit of attack to my skin, but at least there's a little light layer of powder there to just kind of make things glide on a little bit easier. And I'm just gonna try to build this up pretty slowly. And I do find, like, especially for cheek products, orange is quite difficult for me to wear. I find it can just really take over my whole face when I put orange cheek products on. So to combat that, part of it is just doing the whole look that's based around this color. So that's kind of the theme of the look anyway. But what I also did was I did a bit of a higher coverage base than I normally do or normally have been recently, at least, just to cover up more of the color that's naturally in my skin and kind of cover up some of the freckles a little bit more, just so I could give this a chance to really kind of shine. And I'm gonna put it on my forehead too, where I would put bronzer. I don't know if I'm going to use bronzer at all today. I might just stick with the blush and highlight. I think I'll just use this as my bronzer, so I'm gonna do a little bit of sculpting under the chin as well with the same Faded Clementine blush. I actually really like how that's looking. I was a little bit nervous to use this blush, but I think having that higher coverage base is really helping this to work. So now that I've seen how that blush blends onto my face, I want to add it into the eyes as well. I'm going to take my classic crease brush from Sonia G, again right into that pan, and blend this through my crease and kind of just pull it out further than I would normally pull out an eyeshadow. It's nice and sheer because it is a blush. It's not formulated as an eyeshadow. And I just kind of like the idea of having this as an overall color in every aspect of the makeup today. And I'm bringing it into this area a little bit too. Just adds a little bit more drama to the look, even though I'm not really using deep colors. I'm now taking my Sonia G Soft Definer into the same color, and I'm going to pull that along the lower lash line and just kind of smoke it out a little bit. It could be kind of fun to use lighter colors like this, but still to create smoky effects, because you get a little bit of that drama and that nice kind of soft look that a smoky eye has without having it be too dark or overwhelming. And then just to ensure that it's nice and blended down below here, I'm just gonna grab the highlighter that I'm using today, which this will be my first time using it. It's the Dior Forever Luminizer. It's in the shade Golden Glow, shade 4. This is the shade I decided to go with for this highlighter because it's different from anything else that I have. Just really wanted to try it. So I'm taking that on my small Wayne Goss artist brush and just pulling it along where I had put that blush on the lower lash line, just to really diffuse it and blend it all out. I'll pull it along my brow bone as well. All right, so now that that cocoa liner has pretty well set down, I'm gonna take my other Chanel contour stick, and this is the Kaki shade, Contour Kaki, and I'm just going to do a nice little line along my lash line here. And just blending through with this soft definer brush. I thought this kind of deeper, kind of khaki green would be a nice complement to the clementine color in this makeup look. Kind of like the leaves of a clementine. And I want to get a little bit more shimmer and color on the eyes. So I'm taking my soft shader from Sonia G. I'm going to use this shade from the Viseart Coy Palette. And just kind of pat that sort of through the middle of the lid and sort of bring it up in a diagonal line. And then I'm actually blending into this area as well. I'm going very light here. I don't need this to be super strong shimmer or color, just kind of to add a little bit of interest to the look. And the shade is a duochrome, so it kind of goes from a more true orange to a more sort of gold yellow orange color, which I think is just perfect for a clementine look. And then I'm going back with my classic crease into the blush and just going to blend around the edge again, just to soften everything up. And then I'm gonna take this Spark shade from the Saga of Freja palette. This is the one with the two palettes in the same little book. This shade right here. And you can see it actually has a little bit of green in it as well, but when you mix it together, it's this really bright kind of clementine-like color, almost like a pale yellowy orange. And that one, I am going to just try to concentrate it more right along the center and pull it up in a diagonal line. I'm just using my finger for this one. And it actually looks really neat on top of that khaki liner as well. I want to try to get a little bit of that spark color onto my inner corner. So I'm taking this 03 brush from Refer, grabbing some of that color and going right into the inner corner. And then, like I always do, just kind of blending it a little bit along the lash line and a little bit up onto the inner part of the lid. All right, so I'm gonna finish up the eyes, and I'm actually gonna use this new to me mascara. This is the L'Oreal Voluminous Original, but it's in the green shade. I think it's called Deep Green. So again, going with that green as the accent color, I just really was curious to try this mascara. So I'm gonna give it a go and we'll see what happens. That looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna put it on my lower lash line. There's what the eyes look like, all finished. That's a really good mascara. They had a ton of colors, I think, when I was looking at these online, so it really makes me want to try more colors. And I'd actually go for the black one of this too, because it's just a really nice mascara regardless of the color. So I'm almost finished. It's time to move on to highlighter now. So of course I'm going to be using this one that I kind of sneak peeked on the eyes already. I'm just going to take my mini cheek from Sonia G and go right into that pan and see what it looks like. That looks really beautiful. I think it's the perfect color for this look. And it has such a smooth shine. It's almost a wet looking kind of glassy shine. And the color is not as intimidating as you might think. It definitely leans orange. You can see there. But there's something really kind of fresh and fun about this color, I think. It's not your typical gold highlighter. I was considering getting shade 1, the Nude Glow shade, and I didn't get it because it just kind of looked like every other gold highlighter that I have and you see everywhere. And I'm really glad that I went for this one. Very unusual and beautiful. So of course I've gone pretty heavy with it here, but I just I really like it for this look. I think it's kind of fun, a little bit editorial looking. I'll put it on my forehead too. And on the Cupid's bow. I'm actually just gonna take it on the brush and just kind of sweep it right all over the eye area, even going in between the brows. I'm just going back with my blush brush. I haven't put any additional product on. I'm just gonna kind of buff it right on the apples of the cheeks so that it's a really nice seamless blend. And this will reinforce, even though I didn't add additional blush, it'll kind of reinforce that blush color in that area as well, just with whatever's left on the brush from before. Okay, and now it's time to move into lips. So for lips, I'm going to be using the Hermes lipstick. It's the Beige Tadillac shade. So it's one of their satin shades, and it's kind of like a pinky tangerine, so I thought it would be nice for the Clementine look. I may end up adding a liner, but I'm just going to try this on its own first and we'll see. Okay, I was going to do a lip liner, but I think it's good just like this. So this is the completed Monochromatic Clementine look. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I had a lot of fun doing this video, and I really loved using these new cheek products, the highlighter and the blush. And I hope it was helpful for you if you were maybe wanting some tips on how to wear colors that aren't necessarily easy for you to wear. I think my main tips are to do a decent coverage base. You're working on a nice sort of neutral tone to start, and the colors of your skin aren't interfering too much. I think also incorporating that color sort of throughout the whole look can really just help to make a more cohesive look overall, and can help you to wear those colors that might not suit you as much. It might be kind of counterintuitive. You think maybe you should limit the amount of that color that you're wearing, but I think that having a lot of the color all over can really just help to tie everything together. And then I think also having appropriate contrast colors. You can use them very subtly, like I just did with the green liner and the green mascara. And even with what you're wearing, to have a nice contrast, I think can be really nice to freshen up a whole look. So even having like the blue earrings, blue and orange go so well together because they're complementary colors. So I think it just adds a nice little bit of life and freshness into a look that could otherwise perhaps look too orangey or too warm on the skin. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any comments or questions below. I'd love to see those. And if you'd like to see more from me and you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I'd love for you to do so. Thanks again so much. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.